Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses. And this is Incorporation from the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry by Albert G. Mackey. Incorporation. By an act of incorporation, the supreme legislature of a country creates a corporation or body politic, which is defined by Kidd, Corporations 1, page 13, to be a collection of many individuals united in one body under a special denomination having perpetual succession under an artificial form and vested by the policy of the law with the capacity of acting in several respects as an individual, particularly of taking and granting property, contracting obligations, and of suing and being sued, of enjoying privileges and immunities in common, and of exercising a variety of political rights. Some Grand Lodges in America have been incorporated by act of the General Assembly of their respective states, others are not, and these generally hold their property through trustees. In 1768, an effort was made in the Grand Lodge of England to petition Parliament for incorporation, and after many discussions the question was submitted to the lodges, a large majority of whom having agreed to the measure in 1772, a bill was introduced in Parliament by the Deputy Grand Master, but being approved on its second reading, at the request of several of the fraternity who had petitioned the House against it, it was withdrawn by the mover, and thus the design of an incorporation fell to the ground. Perhaps the best system of Masonic incorporation in existence is that of the Grand Lodge of South Carolina. There, the act by which the Grand Lodge was incorporated in 1817 delegates to that body the power of incorporating its subordinates, so that a lodge, whenever it receives from the Grand Lodge a warrant of constitution, acquires thereby at once all the rights of a corporate body, which it ceases to exercise whenever the said warrant is revoked by the Grand Lodge. Objections have been made to the incorporation of lodges in consequence of some of the legal results which would follow. An incorporated lodge becomes subject to the surveillance of the courts of law, from which an unincorporated lodge is exempt. Thus, a Freemason expelled by an unincorporated lodge must look for his redress to the Grand Lodge alone. But if the lodge be incorporated, he may apply to the courts for a restoration of his franchise as a member. Masonic discipline would thus be seriously affected. The objection to incorporation of lodges is, it seems, founded on good reasons. The incorporation of the Grand Lodge of England was proposed by its Grand Master, the Duke of Beaufort. In 1768, 168 lodges declared for it and 43 against it, the motion being carried in Grand Lodge in 1769 by a great majority. A petition was presented to the House of Commons in February 1772. Permission was granted for the bringing in of a bill, and on March 4th of the same year this bill was read for the second time. On March 11th another petition, this time against the bill, was submitted by a strong party in the craft, who were able to postpone further consideration of the proposed incorporation until April 1st, on which day the bill was withdrawn by motion of one of its original introducers, and nothing further was ever done in this direction. With regard to the practice followed in the United States of America, about which there has not been any uniformity, we may state in general that the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts was incorporated in 1859 by the following enactment of the Senate and House of Representatives of that state in General Court assembled. Section 1. John T. Hurd, Grand Master, and his associates, the Grand Wardens and members of the voluntary association known as the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons in Massachusetts, and their successors, are hereby incorporated and made a body politic by the name of the Master, Wardens, and members of the Grand Lodge of Masons in Massachusetts, for the purpose of managing and administering the charity funds belonging to said voluntary association, with power to have a common seal, to sue and be sued, to make and ordain from time to time bylaws, rules, and regulations for the government and management of the corporation, provided the same be not repugnant to the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth, and that they have all the privileges and be subject to all the liabilities set forth in the 44th chapter of the revised statutes, so far as the same are applicable to corporations for charitable purposes. Section 2. The said corporation may take by purchase, gift, grant, or otherwise, and hold real estate not exceeding the value of $200,000 and personal estate not exceeding the value of $50,000. Section 3. John T. Hurd is hereby authorized to call the first meeting of said corporation by advertisement in 2 newspapers printed in Boston 1 week previous thereto, and appoint the time and place thereof, at which meeting the mode of calling future meetings shall be regulated. Section 4. This Act shall take effect on and after its passage. In 1866, 1896 and 1916, the second section of the above Act has been amended so that now the Master, Wardens and members of the Grand Lodge may take and hold real estate, not exceeding in value $5 million and personal estate not exceeding $1 million. An Act of 1884 incorporated the Masonic Education and Charity Trust of the Grand Lodge, and in 1916 this Act was amended so that the Trust might take and hold funds and property not exceeding in value $5 million. The Grand Lodge of Mississippi has been incorporated under the laws of the state of Mississippi. The Grand Lodge of New Jersey is incorporated under an Act of the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey, approved March 7, 1866. As a matter of interest, a copy of the Act follows. Be it enacted by the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey that William Silas Whitehead, John Hopper, Robert Russling, James H. Stevens, Jonathan S. Fish, Joseph H. Houff, Joseph Trimble, Daniel B. Bruin, David Nahr, William S. Bowen, Henry R. Cannon, David S. Plume, Thomas J. Corson, William E. Pine, and James S. Gamble, and their associates, officers and members of the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of the State of New Jersey and their successors, be and are hereby constituted and declared to be a body corporate and politic in law by the name, style and title of the Grand Lodge of the Most Ancient and Honorable Society of Free and Accepted Masons for the State of New Jersey, and by that name they and their successors shall and may at all times hereafter be capable in law of having, purchasing and holding any lands, tenements, hereditaments and personal estate purchased, devised or bequeathed by any person or persons, body corporate or politic, capable to devise or bequeath the same, and also to have a common seal and the same to use at pleasure, and to enact a constitution and by-laws for their own government, and to alter and amend the same, and to make and ordain such rules and regulations, and to appoint such agent or agents at their regular stated meetings as may seem to them necessary and proper for the management and disposal of their property, whether real or personal. Provide always that the said corporation or body politic shall not at any time hold or possess property, real, personal or mixed, the net income of which shall exceed the sum of $10,000 per annum. 2. And be it enacted, that this Act shall be deemed a public act and shall take effect immediately. The Grand Lodge of New York is not incorporated of itself, but the trustees are incorporated, and they act under the laws of the State of New York. The matter of incorporation was taken up in the communication for 1916 of the Grand Lodge of North Dakota, and after much discussion was referred to the constituent bodies, and the question was finally defeated. The Grand Lodge of Ohio was incorporated on March 12, 1844, by the following Act. Section 1. Be it enacted by the General Assembly of the State of Ohio that William B. Thrall, David T. Disney, W. B. Hubbard, George Kiefer, James D. Caldwell, J. G. Willock, Theophilus Keckler, Joan D. Palmer, A. D. Bigelow, M. Z. Kreider, Samuel Reed, William P. Strickland, Joan P. W. Claspel, John W. Milligan, J. S. Burr, and George Johnson, the present officers of the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of Ohio, and their successors in office, be and hereby are incorporated by the name of the Grand Lodge of Ohio, and by which name they shall be capable of suing and being sued, pleading and being impleaded in all courts, the same as natural persons, and with power to hold and convey real and personal property, and to do any and all other things usually done by corporations, and subject to the Act now in force, entitled, An Act instituting proceedings against colorations not possessing banking powers and the visitorial powers of courts, and to provide for the regulation of corporations generally, passed March 7, 1842. Section 2. That the said corporators and their successors of the Grand Lodge of Ohio shall have power to hold in its name property as trustee for any subordinate lodge of this state, The Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania has never been incorporated. The Grand Lodge of West Virginia appoints a board of trustees who organize as a corporation under the laws of that state. A full statement of the authority and duties of this board will be found in Article 4 of the General Laws and Regulations of the Grand Lodge of West Virginia. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe and comment, and if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.